information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. To the Research Talks podcast here with Alan Green on Stockbox on what is a snowy Netherlands for me today, Alan, but I believe you are not actually experiencing any of the white stuff.
It's a very strange thing where we are, Mark. In Seaford, we're in what we call the Seaford Riviera, which actually can be a sun trap, and
nice.
Just on the coast from Eastbourne. But today it's just grey and rainy. In fact, it's not raining right now, which is good. But yeah, we've just had rain. We've had no snow at all, but there has been snow north of the line of the South Downs, and of course up in London. So and if it's with you too, then we must be one of the few places that's avoided it. So there we go.
There we go, indeed. Well, hopefully, as long as the transport methods don't get affected, then I'm happy, because tomorrow I'm off. I'm off for the weekend to London for a music festival. So as long as my travel plans are not disrupted, I'll be happy. The Netherlands tends to fare slightly better than the UK when it comes to adverse weather conditions, I found. So hopefully all is good. But today we're going to be catching up on Altona Rare Earths, who finally, after a long time, are going to move over, aren't they, to the main market on Monday, all being well. And that's been a long time coming. So we'll get a refresher on Altona and the investment case there. And a bit of an update from you on the ECR minerals front as well.
Indeed. Well, both of these companies are, I think, poised to dramatically alter their investment propositions in the coming months, simply because of what the projects they're developing and working on, and also further developments, and obviously in the case of Altona, with the move across to the main market, which has been long awaited. I think we were talking about this a year ago. In fact, probably further back than that, because I know through experience, through talking with companies listed on Aquis previously that have made the move, it's a really detailed and protracted process, and I think it's been no exception in the case of Altona. Now, I wouldn't say they've suffered from being on the Aquis market, because as we've seen with the likes of Marula Mining and others, if you've got a good, strong investment case and there's lots happening, then there'll be liquidity and volume in the share price. But of course, with Altona, it has, as do many mining companies, it's bought and developed a project over the past year, and it's taken time to reach those different stages. But now it's at the point; it's at a very exciting inflection point. Just firstly, a recap on the company, though. Altona was previously a company concerned with coal. It had some coal assets, and back in 2020, the company basically did some financial exercises, shall we say, where it raised the money and changed its name to Altona Rare Earths, and of course entered the Aquis market with the ticker of ANR. The investment proposition at the time was, of course, rare earth metals, rare earth elements, and the company said that it had raised money initially to look at some rare earth projects in Africa, and obviously based on due diligence, it would then decide to embark on one or all of those projects. The projects it looked at were the Monte Moambi rare earth project in northwest Mozambique in the Tete province, the Nankoma rare earths project in Uganda, and also the Shombre project in southern Malawi. Now, through going through each of the phases that the company has to go through, the due diligence, the looking at the history, also the infrastructure, the government, and the opportunities to get the project valued to market, and also, of course, ultimately to get the stuff out of the ground, mined, and then into market. All of those factors have to be considered. And the company gradually decided not to proceed with Chambray, decided not to proceed with Nancoma, but did continue with the Monte Moambi project. And indeed, it really has, from its early days, it has really developed at a pace. Just a quick look at the board before we look further at Monte Moambi. Of course, the chief exec is Christian Taylor Wilkinson. He's been also associated with Altona since 2014, a former financial PR advisor through his company Leander PR, which he founded in 2019. He's got over by now probably 30 years experience working alongside different companies. Has a very intimate knowledge and understanding of companies in the sector and how the mechanisms work. He was appointed interim chief exec on 20th of March 2020, and then at the end of that year, that's just over 2 years ago, he was formally appointed chief exec. The chief operating officer is Cedric Simonet, and this is the guy I think that's really has really sort of pushed hard and brought Monte Moambi to the valuable asset that it is today. Cedric has a PhD in geology and has 25 years experience working on mining mineral deposits in Africa and in France. He worked as head geologist and open pit manager at Sogerim Fluorspar mine in Alcan, France, and then with IG Resources as Africa regional manager, co-founder of Achille Minerals based in Nairobi, and has been involved in numerous rare earth projects in Kenya as well, and has had intimate knowledge through his work of the Monte Moambi project, and that's why really it's been he was looking for a company to work with to develop the asset, and that's really explains the evolution of the asset to where we are today. So just really throughout the year, the company has announced various developments with Monte Moambi, but really December was where it all happened in terms of the next stage of valuation, which along with so many companies in the sector at the moment, has not been reflected, I believe, in the share price. In fact, since December, we've seen a gradual slippage in the share price from the 8 or 9p it was then down to the levels at 5.5 to 6p that we're at today. And this currently values Altona at a paltry 2 million, if that, which is ridiculous, really, for a company with an asset that is going to be so important for the new clean technology environment that we'll be living in the years to come. So, of course, the applications for rare earths are well established and well understood. It has applications across multiple industries, including clean technology industry, defense, and of course plays an important role in battery technology and of course the evolution of the EVs that we're all driving around today. So with the latest news, really, that or the latest stage of development at Monte Moambi has seen the 2022 drilling campaign completed on schedule and on budget. There's the resources now at JORC targets with tonnage of 56.6 million tons of total rare earth oxide at 1.65%. A high-grade zone identified at Monte Moambi, which represents 11.5 million tons at 2.4% total rare earth oxide. And armed with that knowledge and the extensive work that's been done at the project, Altona expects to deliver a maiden resource estimate in Q1 2023, which is, of course, where we are now, and a scoping study shortly following Q2 2023. But of course, the company's reached an inflection point now with the news of that maiden resource estimate. As that happens, the company will be moving to the main market. And I believe, Mark, from a previous interview that you did with Christian, the the company will be changing its EPIC code from ANR to REE, which of course is very appropriate given the rare earths asset the company is developing. So a hugely exciting inflection point. So in terms of the assets the company has developed, now the assets in the company are valued at 1.4 million, up from 500,000 the previous year. Of course, the company reported a loss per share, but reduced loss per share of 2.7p on the year versus 7.7p previously. And currently, the company owns 51% of the asset. There was a staged agreement to acquire Monte Moambe from its current owners, which where the company has an agreement to buy 51%, which it obviously undertaken, and the second phase moves it on to 75, a further 75,000 spend, and of course that will move the company up to 70% ownership of the project overall. Now, along with this development, the company also had a research note published by Align Research, which has given a very detailed and thorough going over of the Monte Moambe asset. There's a page in the on this research note where the company it looks at how Altona can acquire this 70%. Over the next few years, it's got to move through exploration and feasibility studies, hit those milestones, and of course, in doing so, Altona will fund all the exploration costs and hold a board position in the prior owner MMM, so has full working control over the asset, and that's crucial in terms of value realization. Of course, bringing the asset to market and realizing the completion where the once the DFS is completed, of course the works will be complete and the rare earths can be mined and taken to market. And of course, it should be understood with the backdrop to rare earths just how important they are. There are so few projects of value outside China, but its peer group have a valuation well in excess of Altona itself, and I think this is an important consideration when drawing a comparison to Altona. I mean, we have sort of other companies like Eucure Rare Metals, Rainbow Rare Earths, and Ionic Rare Earths, and these have valuations now around 65 million, 58 million for Rainbow Rare Earths, and of course Eucure Rare Metals at 34 million, and these are all at scoping study phase. So even some earlier stage companies that I mean, American Rare Earths, for instance, which has a JORC resource on the La Paz Rare Earths and Scandium project in USA, that has a valuation already of 71 million. So Altona's valuation at 2 million is ludicrous, and I believe when it moves to main market, the share price will appreciate quite rapidly simply because it's not in line with its peer group. And I think also once the company publishes the scoping study, which we're very close to Q2 now, so once that's published, I think we'll see a further movement again in line with that. And the research note from Align Research really highlights this and just highlights this absolute disparity in the valuation. And it has a conservative valuation on rare earth, Altona Rare Earths at the moment, with a target price of 33.7p. So compared to the 5p where the company is trading at currently, that of course is a huge amount of upside. So if one bought in at this stage and those boxes were ticked, then I think we'd be seeing a multi-bagger in pretty short order. But we've got to that inflection point now. Obviously, with the imminent listing next week, I believe you said, Mark, or the move onto main market, I think we're going to see a very exciting few months in prospect for this company.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Alan, for refreshing us on Altona rare earths. And yes, all being well, the company should be trading on the main market with a valuation there of 2 million, which is very low. And I think that is probably mostly down to the illiquidness, let's say, of the Aquis Exchange. Once they get off that and onto the main market and start progressing on with their projects and getting the news flow out there, then a lot more liquidity should go to that company. And I do believe Christian did tell me the ticker will change from ANR to REE as just rare earth elements. So a great ticker to have there. We're going to be talking a lot about REEs, rare earths, in the coming future, and there are not so many, as you alluded to, investment opportunities out there, but some good comparisons to Altona rare earths there from a value inflection point. So thank you for that. Looking forward to seeing how they do next week. So ECR Minerals, then, another company we speak about fairly regularly. What's been going on with ECR?
Quite a few things. It's been a busy start to 2023 for ECR, of course, with Andrew Haythorpe now at the helm. The company has really started to develop and evolve a series of projects in Queensland. I'm just going to cover those quickly, first of all, because I think those are going to really start to add significant value as this year progresses. Of course, the company had 3 licenses in the Lulworth Range area in Queensland, and this is inland from Townsville. It's a fairly remote location. The terrain is quite challenging and inhospitable, but the company's undertaken a dramatic and detailed sampling campaign there, which has revealed multiple gold samples, visible gold, but also a series of pegmatites across the range, which have revealed potential levels of lithium, niobium, and tantalum. And of course, that gives ECR another dimension in terms of, we've spoken about rare earths. Of course, these minerals, lithium, tantalum, and niobium, are also crucial for the clean tech revolution. There'll be more news from Lulworth as we go through. The company's completed its sampling process there, and we are going to hear more, I think, in the coming months about the drill targets the company's identified and the next steps to take. Also, of course, we have the Hurricane project, which the company has an option to buy into. It has to, as alternatives, has to fund the exploration costs there. But this is something that Andrew Haythorpe has intimate knowledge of through work with a previous company. In addition, a geologist who's worked on that area, followed the alluvial streams from the river to the source, and there's gold mineralization that's pretty well visible at the location. So once that work is underway, and we're going to see the team on site, I think in the next few months, we're going to hear more about that too. So very exciting. So ECR currently has a valuation of 7.8 million, trading as it is between 0.65 and 0.7p. And of course, the stock has been as high as 1.7p on the year, but of course, much higher than that previously. But I'm absolutely bemused to find the company valuation at this level, simply because we're further down the road now than we've ever been, and have a far greater value bank in terms of assets than we've ever had. But I think the company's primary focus at present is, of course, in Victoria, in of course Southern Australia, and it has a number of assets there which the company worked on previously. And I'm just going to take some listeners back to some work that was done there previously. So the company is currently moved its drill rig, the Midas drill rig, to Creswick, the Creswick project. And previously, the company has worked on the Creswick project and pulled some pretty impressive grades out of the ground. So I'm just looking back at an announcement back in 2019, where under Craig Brown, who was the CEO at the time, the company pulled some results out: 80.97 grams per ton from a 1 meter interval, And then, of course, last year, the company reassayed some of the drill results from 2021, where it pulled out 47 grams per ton at a similar meterage. The nature of the terrain in Creswick is that you'll see, if you drill down, you'll see gold shoots, and the technical director Adam Jones highlighted this in an interview that he did a year or so ago, where they looked at a shoot that had come out of the ground, or at a core sample that had come out of the ground, and explained that you have this mineralization, which they refer to as gold shoots. And this is typical of the mineralization that's found in the Ballarat gold mine. Now, of course, Ballarat is about 25 kilometers to the south of Creswick itself. But ECR's exploration tenements, now stretch down just to the outskirts of the Ballarat mine. And they're finding similar mineralization down there. The company also has a range of assets which add inherent value to the company itself in its own right. It has two properties in the Creswick, in the Victoria area, and those, of course, are properties at Creswick and of course at Bayliston. And the company has recently announced that it has sold one of the properties at Bayliston, raised a further £500,000. And of course, last year, the company sold another property that it had at near to Bendigo, which is near to the operational headquarters there, where the company has its core shed and where the team work to assess the assays ready for submission to the lab. So the company's been able to self-fund, and of course, it raised a further 900,000 in a fundraising late last year. So here we are now. The company is fully funded. It has the remaining property asset in Creswick, where the team have been on the ground at an historical mine workings, actually on the property territory itself, and they have pulled rock chips out and samples out of the mine there, and they've seen that veining that I discussed in the mine. It's visible, and the rock chip samples have also have been returned from the lab with significant readings from that area. In addition, to the east of the initial find, the company has identified further prospects at Mills Reef, Spring Hill Reef, and also the David Road workings. So the scope of the project is expanding. So after the sampling was done, the company finished work at the Blue Moon project, which is on the Bayliston license area, and moved the rig to Creswick, and it's now drilling into the previous drill holes that were drilled in 2019. There's those holes were RC, reverse circulation drilling. It's now diamond drilling into those holes to conduct further assessment, and then we'll be moving the rig to some of the new discoveries that have been made through sampling. So the team said with the latest update from the drilling program at Creswick that there seemed to be, or the possibility was that it would be able to confirm an extensive gold lode under the ground, and that's hugely exciting and hugely important, because if the drilling can confirm this extended lode, then there is a case for establishing a maiden resource there. And then, of course, just as Altona have done with the Monte Membri project, moving that on to a preliminary economic assessment, a preliminary feasibility study, and then followed by DFS. So we have these phases to go through. So this is the latest phase of development with Creswick. But I mentioned the property assets. ECR has a number of other assets within its arsenal. It owns the Midas drill rig that it's currently using on the Creswick on the Creswick drilling campaign. It also owns a brand new Cortex CMR 1000 rig that has just arrived. It arrived at Melbourne a few weeks ago, and it arrived this week at the Bendigo headquarters. There'll be some commissioning work, and then I would expect this rig to be deployed at probably up at the Lulworth Range project that I mentioned at the start. So it owns these rigs outright, and the plan is that when the company isn't drilling, it will be renting these rigs out, and it already has significant expressions of interest from several companies in the area. And the company stated recently that with the arrival of the rig, it was anticipated that the money it could raise from renting the rig out would cover a significant proportion of the cost of drilling Creswick. So again, it has the ability to generate money from its own equipment and its own assets, which is hugely significant, I believe, when you compare it to its peer group companies. And it's also a competitive, gives the company a real competitive advantage in that field. There are further assets in. I mentioned, of course, Blue Moon. Drilling work was completed there. The size of the asset there was narrower than initially thought, as Andrew Haythorpe stated in his statement. But the team are currently going through those final results, and we'll hear about a decision to continue with drilling work at Blue Moon later in the year or not. And of course, recently a further license tenement was confirmed at Badeston, and that takes the existing tenement out further west, in fact, towards the Fosterville gold mine, which is one of the most successful gold mines in the world. That's about 25 clicks away from the Badeston territory. Finally, the company was awarded a Tambo license, a license at Tambo in Eastern Victoria. So some scoping work will be undertaken there this year also. So the company also has an interest in the Philippines, the Dangley Gold Project, and it announced a few weeks ago that it had now taken that interest up to 90%. What the outcome will be from that it hasn't been announced yet, but I fully anticipate that the company will extract value either from working on the territory, or maybe working in partnership, or maybe selling the asset outright. We'll hear about that in due course. But now, of course, with 90% ownership, ECR can work that to its best advantage in order that it can create sufficient value to fund its Australian plan of action for 2023. So we're going to hear a lot from Creswick in the next few weeks, and I think once those samples come out of the ground, also we're going to get sight of core samples that will be published across social media. So I think we can get a real feel for how that's going. So I think we're going to see some real value add in the next few weeks from the company. And given that we're at these historic lows, and the assets the company already owns, I mean, the Creswick property itself is probably worth another half to £750,000. So if you add that, the value of the Dangley asset, and then of course the upcoming works at Lulworth and Hurricane later this year, I think ECR is also, like Altona, at a very exciting inflection point in terms of delivering greater value in the coming months.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Alan, for bringing us up to date there on ECR. Looking forward to seeing those core sample pictures. Always nice to see pictures of rock core from drilling campaigns, and it's very significant as well that they've got their own rigs, isn't it? That they can they're not at the behest of any drilling company, and when they're downtime, they take advantage of the lack of drillers in the market and actually get them to work and bring in some income. So that's nice to see that they shouldn't have any issues getting drilling underway when they need to. So thank you for that. Let's see indeed what the next few months bring with ECR Minerals.
Indeed. Well, I think certainly that the fact that it now has two rigs, those rigs will be busy. Mark my words. I mean, ECR will deploy those, but the fact that as they've already stated publicly in an announcement, they've already got the potential to pay for a substantial amount or contribute a substantial amount towards the entire cost of the Creswick drilling campaign. That's that's hugely significant for any exploration company.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Okay, well, thank you, Alan. So I wish you a pleasant weekend, hopefully not snowed in anywhere, and we will speak again in a week's time.
Many thanks, Mark. Speak next week.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programmes at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.